Welcome to Department of Distance and Continuing Education, University of Delhi, Master of Business Administration, Semester 1, Core Course MBA FT 6101, Organizational Behavior. Lesson number 7, Leadership. 7.1, Learning Objectives. After reading this lesson, students will be able to: number 1, understand the meaning and traits of a leader. Number 2, distinguish between a leader and a manager. Number 3, understand different leadership styles and their importance. Number 4, understand the evolution of leadership theories. Lastly, relate to the contemporary theories of leadership. 7.2, Introduction. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. John Quincy Adams. Leadership is one of the most complex and multidimensional phenomena. It has been studied extensively over the years and has taken on greater importance than ever before in today's fast-paced and increasingly globalized world. Nonetheless, leadership continues to generate captivating and confusing debate due to the complexity of the subject. The present lesson traces the historical evolution of leadership theories and reviews the progress over the years. It explores 4 main eras in leadership theories, namely trait, behavioral, contingency, and contemporary leadership theories. 7.3. What is leadership? Simply speaking, leadership is defined as the ability to lead. Leadership in business is the capacity of a company's management to set and achieve challenging goals, take fast and decisive actions when needed, outperform the competition, and inspire others to perform at the highest level they can. Researchers have proposed many different definitions and theories of leadership. Some of the definitions of leadership given by eminent researchers are: Stockdale 1974 says that leadership is the initiation and maintenance of structure in expectation and interaction. James McGregor Burns concedes that leadership is leaders inducing followers to act for certain goals that represent the values and the motivation, the wants and needs, the aspirations and expectations of both leaders and followers, and the genius of leadership lies in the manner in which leaders see and act on their own and their followers' value and motivations. According to Katz and Khan, leadership is the influential increment over and above mechanical compliance with the routine directives of the organization. According to John Gardner, leadership is the process of persuasion and example by which an individual or leadership team induces a group to take actions that is in accord with the leader's purpose or for the shared purposes of all. 7.3.1 Characteristics of a leader. There is no clear-cut formula for becoming a successful leader. Nonetheless, a few must-have traits are enumerated as follows. Number 1. Integrity. A leader must embody impeccable standards of integrity and honesty. His decisions should be objective and unbiased. Number 2. Initiative. A good leader has an enterprise trait. He or she is resourceful and thinks on his or her feet and grabs the lucrative opportunities given half a chance. Number 3. Communication skills. A leader should be eloquent and should be able to articulate his or her vision and goals with brevity. Number 4. Motivation skills. A leader must be able to influence followers to work towards shared goals and concurrently achieve their individual goals. Lastly, adaptive. In this ever-changing world, a leader must be receptive to new ideas and ways of doing things. 7.3.2 Leader versus Manager. A leader leads by example, whereas a manager dictates terms. A leader is someone whom people follow or someone who guides others. On the other hand, a manager is someone responsible for directing and controlling the work and staff in the organization. The following table states the few subtle differences between the two. A leader is an innovator, whereas a manager is an administrator. A leader is people-focused, a manager is work-focused. Thirdly, a leader have followers, a manager have subordinates. Leader do the right thing, whereas manager do things rightly. A leader creates value, whereas manager is represented by counting values. A leader is a change seeker, whereas manager prefers stability. A leader is an influencer or inspires, whereas a manager has power and he controls. 7.4 University of Iowa Studies. The University of Iowa Studies was the first to examine different leadership styles using scientific methodology. Kurt Lewin, in collaboration with Lippitt and White, wanted to dissect different leadership styles and their effectiveness, which resulted in concluding that there are three leadership styles, namely authoritarian, democratic, and laissez-faire. These are widely studied leadership styles around the globe. 7.4.1 What is the University of Iowa Studies? In 1939, the Great Depression was about to dissipate and industries were back on their feet. Yet, no one tried to fathom out which leadership style ticks the subordinates the most. Psychologist Kurt Lewin was the first to do so. The Iowa Studies of Leadership set out to identify different styles of leadership. This early study was very influential and established three major leadership styles. In the first part of the study, they trained adults to act as authoritarian, democratic, or laissez-faire leaders. Later, they assigned school children of the same IQ to one of the three groups. They gave each group the same task. The performance was evaluated on the amount of quality of work accomplished. The three group leaders assumed different styles as they are shifted every 6 weeks from group to group. The objective was to gauge the bearing of different leadership styles on the level of satisfaction, frustration of an individual. The three styles of leadership. Number 1, authoritarian leadership. Under this style, a leader makes all the decisions. He passes a dictum telling all the subordinates what to do, how to do it, and when to do it. No leeway for creativity or innovation gets bestowed upon an employee. Under the authoritarian leadership style, a leader is believed to be a know-it-all brass and will do what is best for the organization. Employees are presumed to be ignorant, work-shy, lack ambition, dislike responsibility, and prefer to be led. They are not trusted to do what is beneficial for the organization. Unlimited authority is thus rightly vested in the leader. Against its conspicuous flaws, authoritarian leadership is befitted to situations where there is little time for group decision making and where the leader is the most knowledgeable member of the group. Second, democratic style. This style is characterized by a structured but cooperative approach to decision making. It focuses on group relationships and sensitivity to the people in the organization. This type of leadership style fosters professional competence. Subordinates are encouraged to express their ideas and make suggestions. However, shared decisions are not likely to occur in all the aspects of organizational operations. Democratic leaders sell a vision. They tend to be warm, confident, and friendly. The democratic leadership style encourages employee participation and professional growth. It is well suited in environment where people have a very high level of expertise, like software engineers, lawyers, doctors, mature teachers, etc. The democratic leadership style promotes greater job satisfaction and improved morale. 3. Laissez-faire. Laissez-faire is a hands-off approach. A leader trusts his employees and gives them carte blanche to use their skills and accomplish the organization's goals. But this is not a one-size-fits-it approach. Only individuals with high internal motivation and requisite skill sets can work under this minimalistic leadership style. On the other hand, if employees are not skilled or lack motivation, in that case, this style will drive the productivity of the organization into the ground. 7.4.2 Observations of the study. 19 out of 20 boys liked the democratic leadership style. The only boy who liked the authoritarian style happened to be the son of an army officer. 7 out of 10 boys preferred the laissez-faire leader to the autocratic one, as they preferred confusion and disorder to strictness and rigidity present in the autocratic style. The boys under the latter style exhibited more aggressive, hostile, and indifferent behavior than their counterparts under other leadership styles. They either showed hostility or cracked jokes about hostility towards others. Others belonging to the democratic style showed less aggressive and more indifferent behavior when brought under the autocratic style of leader. Even under the laissez-faire style of the leader, boys committed more aggressive acts than the ones under the democratic style. The studies found that the democratic style to be less productive than the autocratic style. On the flip side, quality was a rung higher with the democratic leader atop than the group with an autocratic leader. Besides, decision making was less creative under authoritarian leadership than under democratic leadership. The researchers concluded that democratic leadership was the most effective form. 7.4.3 Conclusion. Undoubtedly, a study on 10-year-old boys cannot be juxtaposed with the leadership behavior of adults with much more intricate jobs. Nonetheless, the study in its own right was a trailblazer for the understanding of leadership styles from the point of scientific methodology. It depicts how the same group can deliver different results based on the leadership style deployed by the superiors. 7.5 Likkert's Management Systems by Rensis Likkert. In the 1960s, social psychologist Rensis Likkert and his colleagues at the University of Michigan in the United States administered questionnaire to managers from 200 organizations. He wanted to gauge management performance by determining which leadership style could extract maximum productivity from the subordinates. 7.5.1 What is Likkert's management system? Likkert's management systems are management styles developed by Rensis Likkert in the 1960s. He studied the patterns and styles of managers for 3 decades and established a 4-fold model of management systems. His 4 systems are designed to highlight various organizational dynamics and characteristics built around interactions between individuals. Notably, the systems explore several soft management skills such as trust building and their effects on the broader dynamic of the organizations itself. The 4 management systems by Likkert. Number 1. System 1. Exploitative, authoritative. Under this system, decision making and responsibility lie in the hands of the people at the upper echelons of the hierarchy. The top management makes the policies and rules. The employees at the lower level are bound to follow the instructions. The superior has no trust and confidence in subordinates. Dictums gets imposed on employees. They cannot freely converse about their jobs with the managers. The managers play on fear punishment and threats get used as motivational tools. Teamwork and communication are minimal. System 2. Benevolent authoritative. The responsibility lies at the managerial levels but not at the lower levels of the organizational hierarchy. The superior has condescending confidence and trust in subordinates. Master-servant relationship. Here again, the subordinates do not feel free to discuss things about the job with their superiors. Teamwork and communication is very little, and motivation is based on the systems of rewards. System 3. Consultative. Under this system, managers have greater trust in their subordinates and demonstrate it by implementing ideas or beliefs that they share with their team members. There is an open level of communication throughout the organization, and team members are often consulted during the decision-making process, particularly when any change will affect them substantially. However, the ultimate power of decisions remains with those at the highest levels within the organization. Employee motivation gets roused by incentives, including rewards and the responsibility for specific tasks. In this style, employees are given greater freedom, and involvement in meaningful tasks is used to boost intrinsic motivation. Last, System 4. Participative. Responsibility for achieving the organizational goals is widespread throughout the organizational hierarchy. The superior has a high level of confidence in his subordinates. The level of communication is high, both horizontally and vertically, and teamwork is regular. 7.5.2 Key Concepts. Under Likkert's management systems, several dynamics determine which management system is at play. These are number 1 motivation, communication, 3 influence, and 4th decision making. Number 1 motivation. Motivation is a driving force that stimulates the employees to accomplish the organization's objective. Now, it can be used both positively through rewards and incentives and negatively through punishments and threats. Exploitative authoritative and benevolent authoritative primarily focuses on punishments, whilst consultative and participative are angled more towards a system of rewards. Though none is committed to any one approach, rewards can come in the form of monetary bonuses, extra responsibility, opportunities for development, or the improvement of employee relationships with superiors. Number 2. Communication. In exploitative authoritative systems, communication is virtually one way, with decisions being dictated directly from higher management to subordinates. On the other hand, in participative systems, communications are horizontal, with employees participating in the day-to-day decision-making process. Number 3. Influence. The levels of influence employees hold are a conspicuous indicator of the management system at play. In benevolent and exploitative authoritative systems, subordinates are generally not consulted about decisions that relate to their roles. On the other hand, in participative systems, employees are encouraged to add their pennyworth to the decisions. Last, decision making. When employees are asked their opinions and ideas regarding the running of the business, they may indirectly influence the decision making of their superiors, with their thoughts, ideas, and values being included in any strategic planning. However, in either of the authoritative systems, the final decision is made by individuals at the upper levels of the organizational hierarchy. Alternatively, In consultative systems, the employees are given a role in the decision-making process through consultation, and in a participative system, subordinates may have as much influence in decision-making and goal setting as their manager. 7.5.3 Conclusion. Likert studies confirmed that the departments or units employing management practices within System 1 and 2 were the least productive, and the departments or units employing management practices within System 3 and 4 were the most productive. With the help of the profile developed by Likert, it becomes possible to quantify the results of the work done in the field of group dynamics. The Likert theory also facilitated the measurement of the soft areas of management, such as trust and communication. According to Rensis Likert, the nearer the behavioral characteristics of an organization's approach System 4, that is participative, the more likely this lead to long-term improvement in staff turnover and high productivity, low scrap, low cost, and high earnings. 7.6 Theories of Leadership. Leadership theories seek to explain how and why certain people become leaders. Initially, the focus was on ascertaining the characteristics of leaders, but some attempted to identify the behaviors that people can adopt to improve their leadership abilities in different situations. Early debates on leadership often suggested that such skills were innate abilities. In other words, these theories proposed that certain people were born leaders. Most recent theories propose that possessing certain traits may help make people natural leaders, but that experience and situational variables also play a critical role. What exactly makes a great leader? Do certain personality traits make people better suited to leadership roles? Or do characteristics of the situation make it more likely that certain people will take charge? When we look at the leaders around us, be it our employer or the president, we might find ourselves wondering exactly why these individuals excel in such positions. People have long been interested in leadership throughout human history, but it has only been relatively recently that several formal leadership theories have emerged. Interest in leadership increased during the early part of the 20th century. Early leadership theories focused on what qualities distinguished between leaders and followers, while subsequent theories looked at other variables such as situational factors and skill levels. While many different leadership theories have emerged, most can be categorized into one of the 5 broad types, namely great men theory, trait theory, behavioral theories, contingency theories, and contemporary theories. 7.7 Great Men Theory. Are some people born to lead? A cursory glance at the history provides numerous anecdotal evidence. Alexander the Great, Julius Caesar, Napoleon, Mahatma Gandhi, and Abraham Lincoln were the nonpareil leaders at their times. They had a strong moral fiber, great resolute to achieve their objective, and a clear vision. Even today, the belief that truly great leaders are born is common. 7.7.1 What is the great man theory? In the 19th century, the historian named Thomas Carlyle said, "The history of the world is the biography of great men." According to him, a leader is one gifted with unique qualities and captures the imagination of the masses. The great man theory of leadership espouses that great leaders are born, not made. It states that some people are born with traits that are the mainstay of a successful leader. Under the great man theory, prominent leaders throughout history were born to lead and deserved to do so on the back of their natural abilities and talents. The theory gives the semblance of heroism. 7.7.2 Criticism. One of the central problems with the great man theory of leadership is that not all people who possess the so-called natural leadership qualities become good leaders. If leadership is simply an inborn quality, then every individual endowed with the said traits must have eventually found themselves in leadership roles. The great man theory gives the semblance of heroism. Accordingly, a leader is a hero who accomplishes goals against all odds for his followers. Such assumptions are unrealistic. Many of the traits cited as being vital to being an effective leader are typically masculine traits. In contemporary research, there is a significant shift in such a mentality. 7.7.3 Conclusion. The great man theory was a catalyst for arousing the interest of the researchers in understanding what leadership is, who is the leader, what are the distinguishing traits of a great leader. From this emerged the trait theory of leadership. 7.8 Trait theory. The great man theory is the earliest theory of leadership. It suggested that great leaders were born and not made. They had some inborn qualities and this made them great. However, there was no agreement on the traits these leaders shared and how to identify such people. In trait theory, the researchers attempted to identify these traits of a leader. 7.8.1 What is the trait theory? The trait theory is an extension of the great man theory. The objective of the trait theory was to discern the innate traits embodied by an individual that transmogrify them into successful leaders. Different researchers worked on this theory, like Francis Galton. Galton stated that leadership quality is for those who have specific traits that are rigid by birth. Cowley also said in 1931 that traits should be part of research in leadership study. In 1948, Ralph Melvin Stockdale also supported trait theory and did value addition to it. He added further that leadership is based not only on inherent traits but also on the way a leader interacts with the situation. The theory sought personality, social, physical, or intellectual traits that differentiated leaders from non-leaders. Underlying this approach was the assumption that some people are natural leaders endowed with certain traits not possessed by others. It attributed managerial success to extraordinary abilities such as tireless energy, intuition, uncanny foresight, and irresistible persuasive powers. Some of the traits identified were as follows. First, personality traits: self-confident, adaptable, assertive, emotionally stable, etc. Second, task-related characteristics: driven to excel, accepting of responsibility, having initiative and result-oriented, etc. Third, physical traits: young to middle-aged, energetic, tall, handsome, etc. Last, social characteristics: charismatic, charming, tactful, popular, cooperative, diplomatic, etc. 7.8.2 Assumptions. The kernel of this theory is its three assumptions, which are as follows. Individuals have innate leadership traits. The specific set of traits induces a particular behavior pattern. This behavior pattern is irrespective of the situation, that is, doesn't change according to the situation. 7.8.3 Results. There are many studies conducted during the 1930s and 1940s to discover these elusive qualities, focusing on the trait of leaders. But the research effort failed to find any traits that could guarantee leadership success. It could not identify a universal set of traits to recognize a leader in all situations. 7.8.4 Criticism. The trait theory of leadership lacks in providing better and clear results. It is not fit for all situations. As different traits were set forth by different researchers, ergo, there is no uniform list. Consideration of other factors that affect leadership is also missing. Also, the comparative analysis of traits and their importance is undetermined. It couldn't justify why some people with these traits were not influential leaders and why some others with streaks of rigidness were successful. Tests to measure these traits are also not present. 7.9 Behavioral approach. The behavioral leadership theory focuses on how leaders behave, sometimes called the style theory. It suggests that leaders aren't born successful but can be created based on learnable behavior. Behavioral theories focuses heavily on the actions of a leader. This theory suggests that the best predictor of leadership success is viewing how a leader acts. Actions rather than qualities are the focal points of behavioral learning theory. The main difference between trait theory and behavioral theory is the process of becoming a leader. In the trait theory of leadership, people can become leaders smoothly because they were born with the requisite skills. In the behavioral theory of leadership, however, anyone can become a leader after learning leadership skills. 7.9.1 Ohio State Studies. The researchers at the Ohio State University ushered in the direction of studying leadership extensively. The objective was to examine the impact of a leader's behavior on job performance and satisfaction of employees. For this purpose, they administered the Leader Behavior Description Questionnaire, that is LBDQ, to scores of employees. The LBDQ consisted of 150 statements concerning leadership behavior. Each employee responded depending on the degree of a leader's engagement in various behaviors. After studying the results of the rating, the researchers subsumed the leader's behavior under two categories. First, consideration, and second, initiating structure. First, consideration. The extent to which the leader exhibits concern for the welfare of the employees. A leader high in consideration respects employees' idea, tries to solve their problems, is approachable, treats them as equals, and frequently appreciates their work. He or she focuses on forging mutual trust and a conducive environment for his employees. Second, initiating structure. The extent to which the leader defines individual roles. A leader high in initiating structure will set clear goals and emphasize meeting performance targets and deadlines. He or she will set much store by systematic coordination of work, will delineate job descriptions of each employee along the pecking orders. Ohio State Leadership Grid. According to Ohio State Leadership Studies, a leader can elicit both behaviors concurrently, which means consideration and initiating structures are not mutually exclusive. Hence, leadership behavior can be plotted on two separate axes rather than on a single continuum, as shown in the following diagram. Each quadrant in the above diagram is a mixture of varying degrees of initiating structure and consideration. A manager adopts any one style. Figure 7.4 shows four quadrants, namely human relations, democratic, laissez-faire, and autocratic. First, low structure and low consideration. The leader neither provides a rigid structure nor demonstrates much consideration for his employees. He projects a laissez-faire leadership style and is suitable for highly skilled employees with high intrinsic motivation. Second, high structure and low consideration. The leader is pedantic about structuring the work and roles of employees. He projects an autocratic leadership style and does not care much about his employees' needs and wants. Third, low structure and high consideration. A leader sets much store by the needs and wants of his employees. His primary concern is the welfare of his employees. For instance, a leader might define the problem and ask the group members to decide how they will work together to accomplish the task. Last, high structure and high consideration. A leader is highly active and considerate of his employees. He defines the structure but is open to alteration to squeeze the employees' ideas, needs, and wants. Conclusion: the Ohio State Leadership Study found that a leader who is high in initiating structure and consideration is predominantly effective. He achieves high employee performance and satisfaction. However, in a significant number of cases, there were exceptions found. These exceptions indicated a need to take situational factors into cognizance. 7.9.2 University of Michigan. A study commenced at the University of Michigan intending to identify the leadership styles that achieved maximum performance and job satisfaction among employees. It draws much semblance to Ohio State studies. The study identifies two broad leadership styles, namely employee-oriented and production-oriented leadership style. First, production-oriented leader. This is quite similar to a leader under the Ohio State study who is high on initiating structure, focusing on task-oriented activities. The leader considers employees as stakeholders. Second, employee-oriented leader. This is similar to a leader under the Ohio State study who is high on the consideration, emphasizing on human relations. The leader considers employees as a means to achieve production targets. Conclusion: according to the University of Michigan, employee-oriented leadership coupled with general direction and not overbearing supervision would yield maximum performance and job satisfaction. Criticism: the overarching assertion that an employee-oriented style leads to better productivity is contentious. It does not account for the employees and the circumstances that may warrant the use of a production-oriented leadership as more effective. For instance, some intricate jobs might require a more hands-on approach from a leader. Also, the same leadership style may not yield the same results for two different organizations due to different dynamics. 7.9.3 Leadership Grid. The leadership studies at the University of Michigan and the Ohio State University hinged on task-oriented and employee-oriented leadership style. In the 1960s, Robert Blake and Jane Newton also built their work on these dimensions. They proposed a grid known as the managerial grid, also known as the leadership grid. The x-axis of the grid indicates concern for production by the leader, and the y-axis portrays concern for people, that is, accommodating people's need and giving them priority. Each dimension ranges from low, that is 1, to high, that is 9, and thus rendering 81 different positions in which the leadership style may fall. The 5 resulting leadership styles are as follows. First, the impoverished style, that is 1,1. The managers have low concern for people or production. Managers use this style to avoid getting into trouble. The main concern for the manager is not to be held responsible for any mistakes, which results in less innovative decisions. The leader uses a delegate and disappears management style. They are not committed to either task accomplishment or employee satisfaction, which leads to chaos, disharmony within the organization and high employee turnover. Second, the country club style 1,9. This style has a high concern for people and a low concern for production. Managers using this style pay much attention to the security and comfort of the employees in the hope that this will increase their performance. The resulting atmosphere is buoyant but not necessarily productive. Third, the task management style 9,1. With a high concern for production and a low concern for people, this style finds employee needs unimportant. Managers using this style manage their employees through rules and punishments. This dictatorial style is based on theory X and perceives employees as a mere means to an end. Fourth, the middle of the road style 5,5. The manager tries to balance the company's goals and workers' needs. This is a halfway between employees' needs and the company's needs, which are viewed as disparate by the manager. He believes it to be the best way possible as he assumes that employees' needs and the company's goals cannot be reconciled and hence tries to achieve acceptable performance. Fifth, the team style 9,9. In this style, a manager pays high concern to both people and production. The manager premises his leadership style on theory Y, where he or she fosters teamwork. This method relies heavily on making employees feel like a quintessential part of the company. The manager leads by positive example and endeavor to harness a team environment in which all team members can reach their highest potential, both as a team and as an individual. He or she encourages the team to accomplish team goals effectively and work as a team to strengthen the bonds among the various members. Conclusion: the managerial grid is used to help managers analyze their leadership styles through a technique known as grid training. Under this training, questionnaire get administered to the employees that help managers identify how they stand in their concern for production and people. The training aims to help leaders reach the ideal state, that is 9,9. Nevertheless, the model ignores the importance of internal and external limits, matters, and scenarios. 7.10 Contingency Theories. The contingency leadership theory, sometimes called situational theory, focuses on the context of a leader. A leader's effectiveness is directly determined by the situational context in addition to his behavior. This theory takes the specific leadership styles and suggests that good leaders can adjust their leadership style situationally. It also advocates that it will be best to find the right leader for a specific situation. Types of contingency theories includes Fiedler's contingency theory, Evans and Howe's path goal theory, and Hershey and Blanchard's situational theory. 7.10.1 Fiedler contingency model. Till the late 1960s, the building blocks of leadership theories were the innate skill set to be a leader, and there were predominantly only two leadership styles, namely task-oriented leadership and relationship-oriented leadership style. None of the theories factored in the clout of external factors on the effectiveness of a particular leadership style. In 1967, an Austrian psychologist, Professor Fred Fiedler, concurred with the idea of natural leadership style, dyed in the wool, which is hard to change. Nevertheless, as per him, situational factors have an equal sway on the efficacy of a leadership style. Fiedler contended that there is no infallible leadership style for every situation. For this reason, there must be a match between the leadership style and the situation at hand. So the two vital tenets of his theory were, first, the natural leadership style, and second, situation favorableness. Assumptions. The model contended that an individual premises his leadership style on his past experiences and psychology. It is impossible to change one's natural leadership style. There are only two ways to improve the outcomes of an organization. 1. Change the situation. 2. Change the leader. Steps for application of the model. Step 1. Identify the leadership style. To riddle out one's leadership style, Fiedler curated the least preferred coworker questionnaire. The questionnaire asked respondents to describe the one coworker they least enjoyed working with by rating that person on a scale of 1 to 8 for each of 16 set of contrasting adjectives such as pleasant, unpleasant, efficient, inefficient, open, guarded, supportive, hostile. If the respondent even held this coworker in high regard and scored him high, Fiedler categorized him or her as a relationship-oriented leader. By contrast, if the respondent gave a low score to this coworker, it is deduced that his natural leadership style is task-oriented. About 16% of respondents scored in the middle range and consequently weeded out of the study. Step 2. Defining the situation. Every situation calling for leadership requires a specific leadership style geared towards it. For this reason, one must assess the favorableness of the situation. This hinges on three variables. Number 1. Leader-member relationship. This is a measure of trust, confidence, and respect members have for their leaders. The higher the confidence, the more favorable the situation is. Second, task structure. It is highly streamlined structure leading to a favorable situation. The more precise the tasks are, the higher the task structure. Last, power position. It gauges the authority of a leader over power variables like hiring, firing, promotions, and salary increase. Stronger the power position, the more favorable the situation. Essentially, favorable situation is equal to good leader-member relationship plus high task structure plus strong power position. An unfavorable situation is on the other end of the continuum. Step 3. Matching leaders and situations. Combining the three contingency dimensions yield 8 possible situations in which leaders can find themselves. The Fiedler model proposes matching a respondent's LPC score and these 8 situations to achieve maximum leadership effectiveness. Fiedler concluded that task-oriented leaders perform better in very favorable and very unfavorable situations. Relationship-oriented leaders, however, perform better in moderately favorable situations. Conclusion: Fiedler's theory is far too rigid. It states that you cannot change your leadership style. So when a scenario arises where your leadership style and the situation at hand are at odds, you should bow out. Also, if your scores falls in the middle range of the LPC test, the theory does not categorize you into any leadership style. 7.10.2 Hersey and Blanchard's situational theory. Until this time, leadership theories focused on the leaders and their traits. However, Paul Hersey and Ken Blanchard premised their leadership model on the subordinate's maturity. Under this model, leadership style is not static and should be geared based on employees' maturity levels. The maturity level has two components, namely psychological maturity, which reflects their self-confidence, willingness, and readiness to accept responsibility. Second is task maturity, which reflects their relevant skills and technical knowledge. High job maturity means the employee has the ability to execute the task at hand with efficiency. Figure 7.8 shows situational theory. The four quadrants of the above figure are as follows. Number 1. Delegating style. A low task, low relationship style wherein the leader gives carte blanche to the employees to accomplish the goal. This style is befitting for employees with high psychological and task maturity. Second, participating style. A low task, high relationship style wherein the leader kindles the employees to partake in decision making. This style is suitable for employees with high task maturity but a flagging willingness to execute the task. Third, selling style. A high task, high relationship style wherein the leader helps employees to gain confidence. He tries to sell his ideas and vision to the employees. This style is befitting for employees with high task maturity but with time have lost enthusiasm. Last, telling style. A high task and low relationship style wherein the leader gives explicit directions and supervises work closes. This style is geared towards low maturity employees. Conclusion. The upside of the model is that it provides leeway for the leaders to gear their leadership style based on their employees' maturity, understanding, and context of the organization. It advocates that leadership is flexible and not static, like Fiedler's contingency model, which believes that an individual leadership style is fixed. The downside is it places too much responsibility on the leader's ability to decide and change his leadership style as per the situation. However, these decisions may be flawed. 7.10.3 Path Goal Theory. The path goal theory was the brainchild of Robert House. It has the expectancy theory of motivation at its core. The path goal theory expounds on the impact of a leader's behavior on an employee's perception of expectancies between his effort and performance. It is incumbent on the leader to define goals, clarify the paths to achieve goals, heave any obstacles from that path. The path goal theory endorses servant leadership styles, advocates that a leader is a facilitator. He should provide the information, support, and all other resources required by employees to complete the task. According to the path goal theory, the choice of leadership style is contingent on several employee and environmental factors. Compendious details of each component are as follows. Leadership styles. There are 4 leadership styles. First, directive. In this, the leader envisions the present and future goals of the organization. Then, he breaks it down into smaller manageable goals with checkpoints at each step. Employees have explicit information about their work and how to do it. The leader uses the carrot and stick approach. He makes judicious use of rewards and punishment. This is the same as task-oriented leadership style. Second, supportive. The leader is cordial and empathetic. He demonstrates thoughtfulness and concern for his employees' welfare. This is the same as the people-oriented leadership style. Third, participative. A leader does not consider his employee as a cog in the machine but as the stakeholder. He consults his employees on important decisions related to goal setting and the path to achieving those goals. Fourth, achievement oriented. The leader sets challenging goals and encourages employees to reach their peak performance. The leader believes that employees are responsible enough to accomplish challenging goals. This is the same as the goal setting theory. Contingencies. The relationship between a leader's style and effectiveness is dependent on the following variables. Number 1. Employee factors. These include factors such as employees' needs, locus of control, experience, perceived ability, satisfaction, willingness to leave the organization, and anxiety. For instance, if there is an employee with low motivation, then a participative leadership style will be preferred. Second, environment factors. These include factors such as task structure and team dynamics that are outside the employee's control. For example, for employees performing simple and routine tasks, a supportive style is much more effective than a directive one. Conclusion. The theory has been subjected to empirical testing in several studies and has received considerable research support. This theory consistently reminds leaders that their primary role as a leader is to assist their subordinates in defining their goals and then to assist them in accomplishing those goals most effectively and efficiently. This theory gives a guide map to the leaders about how to increase subordinate satisfaction and performance levels. Figure 7.9 shows path goal theory. 7.10.4 Continuum of Leadership Behavior by Tannenbaum and Schmidt. The contingency approach argues that leadership style should be based on a particular situation and not on the leader's personal preferences. Contingency theorist Robert Tannenbaum and Warren Schmidt identified 7 leadership styles. They run in a continuum from rigid authority at one end to full freedom for your team at the other. The below diagram displays all these styles. The 7 leadership styles broadly correspond to a team's level of development. As trust and competency grow, so does the amount of freedom that the team members want and that leaders feel comfortable providing. Figure 7.10 shows the range of leadership behavior from first, that is, manager makes and announces decisions, tells, to 7th, that is, managers will let subordinates function within limits defined by him, that is, abdicates. The 7 leadership styles broadly correspond to a team's levels of development. As trust and competency grow, so does the amount of freedom and the team members want and that leaders feel comfortable providing. 7.11 Contemporary Theories. 7.11.1 Transactional and Transformational Leadership Style. Burns suggested the initial idea of transactional and transformational leadership, and Bass formally introduced the theory. Transactional leaders mainly focus on ongoing work. They work with employees to fulfill organizational goals and simultaneously plan for the next actions. Based on the results and performance, managers also rewards and punishes employees. Under transactional leadership, employees are appreciated for their contribution, but the manager usually neglects employees who lack required capabilities and skills. Transactional leaders are more concerned about completing goals as suggested in path goal theory, Fiedler's model, etc. The transactional leadership style complements the transformational leadership style. The last decades of the 20th century recognized the need for leaders who could develop their followers' behaviors and transform them into new leaders. Various researchers extensively explored the theory. It is a leadership style where leaders like Richard Branson and Andrea Jung, etc., tend to inspire their followers. Transformational leaders change or transform followers' perceptions and help them solve old problems in new ways. They motivate employees to put extra effort into achieving the set of goals. Bayes suggested 4 factors that form transformational leadership, namely idealized influence, inspirational motivation, intellectual stimulation, and individual consideration. Transformational leaders help employees improve and grow to do their jobs independently. They ensure that employees change and improve for the betterment of an organization. Transformational leadership goes beyond transaction or task completion and helps followers transform themselves to adopt new ways of doing the task. They pursue employees to be more creative and innovative. The transformational leader does have qualities of transactional leadership, but the same is not true in the vice versa case. The transactional leader follows the laissez-faire style. He hands over the responsibility to followers, and mostly they tend to intervene when set standards are not met. In addition to following roles, transformational leaders also provide vision to the followers. They communicate challenging goals and motivate employees to perform above expectations using a problem solving approach. Unfortunately, sometimes employees and leaders get enthusiastic and become over engaged with loyal employees and piling up too many tasks and responsibilities. Figure 7.11 shows the relationship between transactional and transformational leadership style. Transformational leaders are more creative and ready to take more risks. Such leaders are able to boost the confidence among followers to pursue ambitious goals. They make followers believe that goals are personally essential for them. They have a charisma that motivates employees to give extra effort. But vision dominates charisma. Unlike charismatic leadership, leaders are found to be committed to the organization and can win the followers' trust. Case study. Leadership styles played a critical role in the inability of Xerox to capitalize on its invention of the first user-friendly personal computer. The researchers in the Xerox Palo Alto Research Center, that is PARC, developed the first graphical user interface, mouse, and menu-driven computer technological advances that made computing accessible to the novice users. The lab's charismatic leader, Bob Taylor, recruited only the very brightest scientists, gave them the freedom to innovate, and inspired them to work together to solve tremendously complex problems. Researchers at PARC invented new products, obtained multiple patents, and pioneered many of the computer technologies we now take for granted. However, because Xerox PARC was not well integrated into the rest of the company, Xerox top management was skeptical of the inventions the lab developed and didn't see how they fit in with their current copying equipment. Xerox lacked a transactional leadership style in the top management team to provide the structure and systems that could capture the knowledge generated in the PARC labs. Where Xerox failed, Apple succeeded. Steve Jobs visited the PARC facility in 1979 and immediately saw the future of computing in the mouse-driven graphical user interface. Jobs left the PARC labs without any hardware or software, but with a vision for how computers should operate. Jobs and his Apple employees were able to convert the innovative PARC ideas into the Macintosh computer, which debuted in 1984, changing the face of computing. Because of Jobs' leadership, Apple created the system and structures that were able to convert their knowledge into a valuable product. Jobs exhibited both transformational and transactional leadership styles. He used a transformational leadership style to create a vision for the Macintosh and challenge his employees to reach nearly impossible goals. He used a transactional leadership style to create the systems and structures in Apple that allowed the knowledge created at all levels of the organization to be converted into a valuable product, the Macintosh personal computer. Questions. First, using the instances from the case study, differentiate between transformational, transactional, and charismatic leadership. Second, what led to the success of Apple under the leadership of Steve Jobs? 7.11.2 Charismatic leadership. The followers' positive perception of their leader, like Martin Luther King Jr., Steve Jobs, Indira Gandhi, and Narendra Modi, etc., makes such leaders powerful and influential. However, followers sometimes don't even have rational reasons behind such beliefs. This term was initially suggested by sociologist Max Weber. The word charisma is derived from a Greek word which means gifts. Charismatic leadership refers to a certain qualities of an individual personality by which they are set apart from ordinary people and are treated as endowed with exceptional powers and qualities. Such qualities are not accessible to the normal person and are regarded as the divine origin or exemplary, and based on them, the individual is treated as a leader. Later, in 1977, Robert J. House studied it in organizational settings. According to Robert House, followers' positive perception of certain observed behaviors in an individual makes them leaders. Charismatic leaders usually have a vision and are ready to take risks at a personal level to achieve their vision. They are susceptible to the followers' needs and generally show behavior that is perceived as a novel. It has been observed that charismatic leaders influence followers with an appealing vision, followed by a long-term strategy that could result in a better future. The followers can visualize a challenging yet achievable vision from a charismatic leader. The vision usually fits the ongoing circumstances and gives uniqueness to the organization. They can increase confidence in followers that the vision could be attained through a given strategy. And high performance. Employees can identify with the leader personally. Such leaders also communicate a certain set of values to achieve the goal. Overall, employees are able to connect with such leaders at an emotional level. The combination of certain personality traits and situational factors mainly leads to the rise of charismatic leaders. Charismatic leaders possess high confidence and are generally achievement oriented. For example, Barack Obama. Similarly, followers become more receptive to charismatic leaders when they face stress and crisis. For instance, in the 1930s, Franklin Roosevelt's vision was to get people out of the Great Depression. 7.11.3 Authentic leadership. The dawn of the 20th century and the beginning of the 21st century saw some infamous large-scale scams, like the fall of top companies like Enron and WorldCom, and periods of recession due to the deteriorating rate of leaders' moral and ethical conduct among employees. This led to the emergence of new theories of leadership that were more value-laden and ethical, such as authentic leadership. Practitioners like Bill George, academicians like Avolio, leadership consultants like Kevin Cashman, etc., initially recognized the concept of authentic leadership. Authentic leaders are more effective at optimizing their effectiveness to achieve superior long-term results. Authentic leaders are the one who maintains consistency in their words, actions, and internal value system. In addition, such leaders foster a long-term relationship with an organization in a self-disciplined manner. Such leaders are not only passionate about their work but are deeply grounded in the roots of their value system and moral conduct. Balanced processing, internalized moral perspective, rational transparency, and self awareness are the four significant constructs of authentic leadership that are widely accepted. Authentic leadership is an approach to leadership that emphasizes building the leader's legitimacy through honest relationship with followers who value their inputs and are built on an ethical foundation. Generally, authentic leaders are positive people with truthful self concepts who promote openness, building on the simple but essential idea that leaders may construct their sense of self based on who they are as distinct individuals are based on who they are. 7.12 Summary. Leadership largely depends upon the follower's perception and their acceptance. There are various leadership styles and theories in literature that helps us in understanding what makes an effective leader. The 19th century witnessed the rule of dictators and power influenced behavior among the leaders. The leadership at that time was mostly all about the one-man show. The great men theory and the trait theories are grounded in this and were an attempt to search common traits that make a common man a powerful leader. Even today, a leader equipped with such traits adds to the leadership effectiveness. With time, union conflicts, uneducated workers, adaptation of new technology, etc., emerged and it became difficult to generalize trait theory. The focus of leadership researchers turned towards the behavior of leaders. The leader's behavior plays a crucial role, especially in controlling today's information era's highly qualified employees. Due to the accelerated rate of technological advancements and associated unpredictability in the work environment, the need for contingency and situational leadership arises. The last decades of the 20th century recognized the need for leaders who could develop their followers' behavior and transform them into new leaders. This led to the development of transactional and transformational theories of leadership. Till today, many organizations are following the transformational style of leadership that was introduced in the 20th century. It involves 5 dimensions, namely attributable and behavioral influence, inspirational motivation, the focus on intellectual growth, and individual consideration. The dawn of the 20th century and the beginning of the 21st century saw some infamous large-scale scams and period of recession due to the deteriorating rate of leaders' moral and ethical conduct among the employees. The overall societal loss at the macro level and maintenance of investors' trust at the organizational level led to the emergence of new theories of leadership that were more value-laden and ethical, such as authentic leadership. Looking at the various theories, it can be stated that it is difficult to define leadership in few words. The current leader should follow a style or approach that fits the needs of all the stakeholders. Thank you for listening.